Thank you, Fran, and thanks to the families of Solly and Jordan for organizing this really important event. As Fran mentioned, we work together in the P4W Memorial Collective, and I've only been working with the collective for a number of years, but Fran and Anne and other members have been working with the collective, and both formally and informally, to create a memorial garden for the women who died at the prison for women and for women who continue to live and die across Canada. I want to share with you a few things that I've learned by working with the P4W Memorial Collective and also working with a fairly new group called Defund Police Kingston. And I think the main thing that I have learned from working with these two groups is that we must remember in order to transform. So we must remember the women who died at P4W. We must remember Solly and Jordan and Ashley Smith and Moses Beaver and everyone who has died in prisons and jails and detention centers across Turtle Island. We must remember that we gather here on Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe land and that this land gives us life. We must remember, and sometimes we must learn because we don't actually know these things, that the police in Kingston, in this city that is built on Indigenous land that never had police and never had prisons, the police in Kingston stop Black men 3 times more often than any other group. And these are figures that they themselves collected from 2003 to 2004 in a study that the police did, tracking their own pedestrian stops and traffic stops, because they wanted to prove that they were not racist. And what it proved is that they are, that there's systemic racism in the Kingston Police Force. Not only are Black men stopped 3 times more often than any other group, but the stops result in fewer arrests or citations than for any other group. And do you know what the highest hit rate? That's what they call the rate of the proportion of arrests to charges. The highest hit rate is for white women like me. We have to learn and remember that Kingston has the highest rate of police-reported sexual assault in Ontario. I myself did not know this until I started doing research with the Defund Police Kingston Collective. We also have the second highest rate of sexual violence against children and youth in Canada. But what are the police capable of doing to keep us safe from sexual violence? We also have to remember or learn, as I did only a few weeks ago, that the City of Kingston provides no funding to the Sexual Assault Center. 0. Their funding comes from the Attorney General's office, from Victim Services, which means that they are not funded to work with people who cause harm. How are we supposed to transform harm if we don't actually work with people who cause harm to foster accountability? The annual budget for police is over twice the budget for housing and social services in Kingston. That's $43.5 million that is allocated to the police in Kingston for 2020, and only $17.2 million for housing and social services. This is at a time when we have a housing crisis in this city. So we have to remember all of these things, but we can't just remember, we also have to learn how to transform. Acknowledgement is important, but it's not enough. Apologies are important, but they're not enough. Commitments to do better are important, but they are not enough. We must actually change not just the way we ourselves behave, but the way we organize our society, the way we invest our time, our money, and our energy, the way we set our priorities, the steps we take to follow through on our commitments, the way we care for one another and hold each other accountable, and the processes that we put in place to address harm when it happens. And harm will always happen. We need to figure out how we're going to address that harm and transform transform it and to acknowledge it when it does. Accountability is not the same as punishment. Accountability means, for me, giving an account of yourself to other people who deserve to know why you did what you did and how you're feeling about it and thinking about it now, and what you are going to do to change your behavior. Accountability means being willing to face up to the harm that we have caused without even the harm that we've caused without intending to. And it means being willing and able to listen to others about the way our actions or inaction have affected them. It also means figuring out what it will take to repair or make amends for the harm that has been done. And it means being willing and able to ask for help and support during this process. We're human, and being human means being able to remember, but also to forget, to mess up, to harm and be harmed. And it also means to be able to listen, to respond, to repair and transform. So if we really want to live in a society that's safe and free and just, we have to divest from forms of accountability designed to incapacitate people, like police and prisons, and invest in practices of mutual care and support by giving an account of ourselves and expecting others to do the same. So you can follow the P4W Memorial Collective on Facebook, and you can also follow Defund Police YGK on Instagram.